The Covenant and Why Hollywood is Afraid of the War in Afghanistan. Starring Jake Gyllenhaal, the new action thriller about an army sergeant who returns to Afghanistan is the latest tentative U.S. attempt to explore the conflict, writes Caryn James. Guy Ritchie's The Covenant is an intense action movie full of gunfire and explosions that make you feel caught in the midst of danger, and like so many war films, it relies on a slender plot about heroic choices. Jake Gyllenhaal plays John Kinley, a U.S. Army sergeant in Afghanistan in 2018 whose life is saved by his Afghan interpreter, Ahmed Dar Salim, in the kind of single-handed exploit that only happens in movies. After Kinley returns home and learns that Ahmed and his family are being hunted by the Taliban for having helped the Americans, he returns to Afghanistan to try to save him. So far, just another commercial adventure. But the film's real-world resonance, shallow, but there points toward a burgeoning trend on screen for works centering on the 20-year-long U.S. war in Afghanistan, which ended when their military left in 2021. It took just a few years after the U.S. withdrew from Vietnam for some great films to arrive, including Apocalypse Now 1979, and The Deer Hunter 1978. The Covenant and other tentative responses suggest that while filmmakers are now setting their stories in Afghanistan, coming to grips with that conflict on screen may take a lot longer. The Hollywood landscape is more cautious than ever today, and the U.S. too politically divided for movies to risk alienating half the audience. A recent Pew Research Center poll revealed that U.S. opinions about Afghanistan are split along party lines. Although the war in Afghanistan now stands as the longest in U.S. history, it has rarely been top of mind in public awareness. The U.S. military entered Afghanistan in 2001 in the wake of 9/11. to prevent attacks that might come from terrorists based there, but the war was quickly overshadowed by other global conflicts, first in Iraq and more recently Ukraine. The Covenant is especially timely now, though. 2 weeks ago, the Biden administration released a report about the U.S. troop withdrawal and the chaotic evacuation, as thousands of Afghans crowded Kabul airport trying to leave. The Taliban took control of the country within weeks of US and UK troops exiting, restricting human rights, especially for women, and creating a worldwide crisis of Afghan refugees. Guy Ritchie's The Covenant, that's the full, clumsy title which at least distinguishes it from several other movies called The Covenant, lands in that context. But it is not the first or only Hollywood treatment of the conflict, and in particular, of the relationship between U.S. soldiers and their Afghan guides. In fact, there is another one opening next month. Kandahar, released in the U.S. on May 26th, is a Gerard Butler action movie about a CIA operative trapped in a dangerous part of Afghanistan with his interpreter. The trailer shows Butler saying, "Nobody's coming to save us," a cue for the two of them to battle the enemies and save each other. There have been earlier tone-deaf attempts as well. The United States of AL 2021-22 was a bland CBS network buddy comedy about an Afghan guide who lives in the U.S. with the Marine he helped and the Marine's family. Tina Fey plays a journalist in Kabul in the 2016 comedy-infused drama Whiskey Tango Foxtrot, a movie so culturally insensitive that it cast the American Christopher Abbott as her Afghan interpreter. The Covenant, despite its melodramatic plot and one-dimensional characters, captures more reality than that, the truth behind the fictions. But The Covenant is also built on some verifiable facts and sentiments, adding ballast to its explosive surface. Text at the end of the film says that 300 Afghans have been killed, and thousands are in hiding from the Taliban for having cooperated with the U.S. Annie Pforzheimer, a former U.S. diplomat who was deputy chief of mission in Kabul in 2017-18, says the text rings true. That number obviously will be out of date almost immediately, but there are many well-documented cases that the UN and independent human rights observers have been reporting. And the bond between Kinley and Ahmed echoes a strong connection. Pforzheimer has observed first-hand soldiers who served and diplomats who served closely for 20 years with Afghan interpreters, police, military, and officials feel a deep sense of loyalty to them, she says, adding that films like The Covenant reflect the real feeling of their helplessness and a little bit of wish fulfillment. So guys, hopefully you have liked this video, and if you liked this video, subscribe our channel and don't forget to press the bell icon for latest updates.